In this video, we will look at 10 habits to save money faster. Before we start, please subscribe to the channel, click on the bell to stay updated on the next videos, and let's start with habit number 1, which is to define what your priorities are. If we look a bit at the crux of the matter, in all situations where we want to achieve something, the point is that we have to make choices. Now, if you have savings, you want to achieve goals, you want to save more, faster, what are the priorities? What are the important things and what are not? Because when it comes to spending money, if you know what your priorities are, you can command, you can direct your energies and therefore also your money into what is important to you. If the reason why you want to save money faster is important, it's a priority, and therefore deciding where you want to put your money will help you save faster. But not only that, it will also help you in times when you want to spend money or find yourself in situations where you have to make a choice, perhaps whether to buy something or not. If you postpone the purchase of something or do it at this moment, knowing what your priorities are will help you a lot in this phase. And this leads us to point number 2, which is define challenging goals. Of this thing, I talk about it very well in my video course that if you want, you can find in the description of this video. And the important thing is, first of all, to define the goals. This is fundamental because if you don't know where you want to get, you can never get there. So what is the figure you want to reach at the end of your journey? So what is the final result, but also what are the micro goals that you want to achieve? Because if I want to put aside, I don't know, 50,000 euros in 5 years, I know that every year I will have to put aside 10,000 euros. And to put aside 10,000 euros every year, how much will I have to save each month? How much will I have to save each week? Doing this exercise will help you to clarify and therefore to better understand what to do in practice to reach all these steps. The fact of defining goals, however, to be really something that pushes you to give your best if you want to save faster, is that these goals are challenging. That is, if at this moment you can save 100 euros and therefore this does not allow you to reach your goal in the time you would like, in the time you have set, raise the bar a little. That is, challenge yourself. Set yourself slightly higher goals and you will see that you will be able to find solutions to reach them. Be careful, not impossible goals, okay? If you've never been able to save, you haven't yet sorted out your budget, your expenses, your financial situation, you can't suddenly set yourself the goal of saving 500 euros a month, okay? Because you will hardly be able to achieve it, and if you don't achieve it, what happens? You get discouraged and abandon your project, your goal. Instead, you need to set goals that are slightly above your abilities. This is because it's a mechanism that allows you to improve, to give your best, to really be on the ball. Habit number 3, find your why. I also talk about this very well in my video course because it's an extremely important aspect as far as goals are concerned. Both for financial goals and for life goals in general. That is, if you don't have a reason why you want to do what you want to do, it will be difficult to achieve it, or anyway when you encounter difficulties. I would be much more inclined to give up. I mean, it's okay that you want to set aside, as we did in the example at the beginning, 50,000 euros in 5 years, but why do you want to do it? I mean, if there's no reason behind it and you want to do it just because, you might find yourself talking to friends saying, well, I want to put all this money away. Okay, but why? No, because I want to buy a car. Okay, but why do you want to buy a nice car? What does buying a nice car mean to you? What's the reason behind it? I mean, the reason is something very personal that doesn't concern numbers, but concerns emotions. Emotions, especially if you, for example, don't have a contingency fund at this moment, or you are building it, but you would like to go faster. What is the reason why you want to create a contingency fund? Because I want to be serene, because I want to have economic stability, because this allows me to be calm. not having anxiety about being able to pay for the unexpected when they happen, or there are many reasons behind it. Even if I don't know, I want to put aside some money to leave my children one day because I want my children to have stability. I want to leave something to my children anyway. The reason is the fuel that pushes you to reach your goals faster, that pushes you to overcome difficulties. Because when we embark on a path to reach a goal, it is inevitable to find difficulties, and we must have the strength at that moment. You find the strength if you have a why. Point number 4, use savings plans. If you want to speed up the savings process, you can invest your money and make it profitable, so this allows you to reach your goal faster. But be careful, guys, these are not financial advice. I am not a consultant, but be very careful. Because often some tell me, I want to invest in ETFs or in this or in that other. Be careful. Because if you make investments of the type, but also the ETFs, this means that your capital will fluctuate, okay? We are not talking about stocks there. Even worse, if you go to invest the capital that you need to reach a goal, I don't know, the advance of the house, and you in 3 years need 30,000 euros to give the advance of the house. And at that moment, when you need the money, you find yourself with your investments at minus 20%. It's a problem, okay? It's much better instead to opt for solutions where the capital is guaranteed and where you already know at the signing of the contract anyway. So when you go to make your investment, what is your return? What is the interest that this product will give you? For example, point number 5, increase your income and decrease your expenses. If you want to save faster, what you need to do is increase the gap between your income and your expenses. So if you do this at the same time, you will save faster. This is what allowed me to go from 20,000 euros in debt to 10,000 euros in savings in 2 years. Because at that time, in that period, in those 2 years, I was super focused on saving. I had so much desire to get out of that disastrous situation that I really put all my energy into this thing, even in money management, obviously. And so what did I do? I worked so hard at the same time. I also minimized expenses. I mean, I really cut to the bone everything that were my expenses in this way. I was able to accelerate the savings process because at the end of the day, as I told you at the beginning, what matters is the difference between your income and your expenses. So this is definitely a good system to accelerate the savings process. Point number 6, respect every euro you spend. This point is one that I particularly care about. Those who have been subscribed to the channel for a long time know it because I have about it in the videos. Then if you want, there is a whole playlist where I talk about saving and money management. I put it here somewhere in the cards. But having respect for your own money is fundamental, both when we go to make small expenses, both when we go to make large expenses. So before spending, think carefully about how we are spending our money, and above all, respect it. Because from the moment you treat money with, I repeat, with little respect, with little care, with little love, you will tend to spend more easily and the money will go away from your account. So definitely have deep respect for your money and also for your savings. Because exactly many times what happens is that we put away money for goals, but then we part with the jug for something because we've seen it, we have that money aside. What do? And well, come on, I have the money, a small part I can spend. Now this, what it does is that it's okay. It gives you joy at that moment because maybe you can afford to buy something you like, but it takes you away from your goal. So respect your own money. That too, what we have put away is extremely important. Obviously, all of this brings us back to the initial points. That is, if you know what your priority is, if you have clear goals, if you know what your why is, when you find yourself in front of a purchase, even if you can afford it. Often you decide not to do it because the point is to have control, to be aware, and not to be commanded by money, but we should be the ones commanding the money. Or better, as I often say, money should not be in control. But you should be the one controlling your money. And this is also a bit of the concept. I know I can afford it, but I decide not to buy it because I have more important things to achieve. Point number 7, change company. So if obviously you find yourself hanging out with people who don't have the same goals as you, who don't prioritize saving, and you find yourself in company and we go out and do this, we go to the mall, that is people who are totally opposite to this kind of mentality, it will be harder to save. So maybe for a while I'm not saying you have to leave your friends and everything, but certainly if you make choices and choose to live as a saver, so being able to accumulate capital, being able to set aside a nest egg for goals or for economic serenity, certainly the people you hang out with often do. In fact, in personal growth, we talk about the peer group, right? That is, we are the average of the 5 people we hang out with. Even more so, if the 5 people you hang out with the most are big spenders. This slows down your saving process because you feel out of place. You don't want to appear stingy. And the fear of judgment does, we know this. In fact, one thing that makes a big difference even when we are in a couple is if we have a partner who has the same goals as us. Our same priorities or not. Even though this doesn't mean we can't reach our goals, maybe we'll do it more slowly, but we can still reach them. Having said that, choose your companies well. Surround yourself with people who maybe think like you. Point number 8, save wisely. This is something I've been saying often. Lately, because I've realized that most people believe they are saving, but in reality, they are not, because if you follow the marketing, the offers, the communication of the companies, you don't always end up saving. In fact, I wouldn't say never, but almost never. Very rarely. Especially at the supermarket. I mean, when you see the huge billboard offering a super discount, look closely, buy with awareness, use your head when you have to spend. And spend your money wisely. For example, a concept that I share and often talk about is having a few quality things instead of having a lot of trinkets around. But I won't dwell on this point because I've already talked about it in other videos. This obviously leads us to minimalism. That is, minimalism is the thought, the philosophy of life that also led me to go from 20,000 euros in debt to 10,000 euros in savings in 2 years. Now, I'm not an extreme minimalist, but to give you an example, my family and I live in a 90 square meter apartment. There are 5 of us, we have only 1 cellar, and we don't have a garage. Okay, this is because we try to live with the essentials. Be careful, this does not mean that we also do not make some extra purchases or something that maybe is not strictly necessary, but we certainly are not part of those people who maybe have the garage full of stuff, the cellar full of stuff, the house full of stuff that is not used. I mean, all things that are there gathering dust. Becoming minimalist goes hand in hand with saving, but not only because minimalism is not just a matter of money or savings, but it is a lifestyle that also helps you to live better, because fewer things means being more mentally free, but also just at home. Not having a ton of things around helps us a lot to have more order. This also means having more mental order, being able to clean much faster, tidy up much faster, so it's all a consequence. So definitely embracing the philosophy of minimalism will help you save money faster. Point number 10, forced savings. Now, especially if you are a person who tends to spend, forcibly taking away your money helps you a lot in this process. Because there's nothing to do if you see the money, if you have the money in hand and you have them in your bank account, it's much easier to spend them. Now, there are people, because there are those who are savers from a young age. So they have roots as savers. Maybe their parents taught them. They transmitted this thing to them. And so there the difficulty is less. But for those who tend to spend, maybe they have spent many years spending, as it was for me. You have to force yourself. I call it making a forcing. Many times there are, maybe some income that comes to me that I could spend on things that maybe, my children ask me, my wife asks me, but sometimes I make the forcing. And those money, I pretend not to have them because I put them aside. And so I don't have them. I count in my head that those money do not exist, okay, to do this process, as I often say. Also the speech before save and then spend. So put aside immediately as soon as you get the salary, and not when you have done everything you have to do, is certainly the first strategy that helps you put aside some money. Then, as I have already said in other videos, the money must be in an account where there is no card, so where I can't use it then to pay around, and in quotes, difficult access where I can't take the money more easily. It must not even be a thing bound where I need 2 months to access my money, because if that money is for the unforeseen, I must be able to access it in 2, 3, maximum 4 working days, but certainly they must be aside. Okay, I must not see them, and we must try to make a forcing, which is a bit what I said at the beginning of raising a little bit the bar and set challenging goals.